Montana's new self-defense law was tested during Clay Dunbar's 2 murder trials, both of which ended in hung juries. But do you know how much they cost? News Channel 5's Andrea Fisher tallies the price of justice.
Public Defender Melody Brown was outspoken in the lead-up to the retrial.
I do not think that to continue to pursue this case is in the best interest of justice.
She believed it would cost too much money.
It's not the fair thing to do. It's not the right thing to do.
Brown declined to speak on camera, in part because of the polarizing nature of this case, as evidenced by the hung juries. Cascade County Attorney John Parker believes it's his job to ensure public safety.
A case of this magnitude is literally a matter of life and death.
But at a cost of nearly $18,000, was it? Jury costs were almost $14,000, while the public defenders paid between $3,000 and $4,000 for their expert to testify. Again,
the public expects our judicial officials to spend their time on the most significant, most important cases affecting our community. That's what we're funded to do, and that's what they expect us to do.
You also have to remember the people who worked on this case, the salaries of the judge, the attorneys, the court reporter, the clerk of court, the bailiff, the paralegals, and perhaps most importantly, their time that could have been spent on other cases.
For basically all of us involved, we get paid the same whether we're working on homicides or traffic tickets.
Brown says taxpayer money should be spent as efficiently as possible, but how that's done should be up to the public.
There's a price tag for American democracy, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think that was excessive in any way.
In Great Falls, Andrea Fisher, News Channel 5.
Good evening, Jason Nitschke now jumping right into sports. The time is finally here, the time Montana State football fans look forward to nearly as much as the season itself. Triangle Classic weekend. Lindsay Theory takes us tonight's banquet.
Well, it's no surprise since winning the 2010 Big Sky Championship that Bobcat Nation continues to grow. Not only for the first time ever is the MSU president in attendance, but the event's grown from 85 tables just a year ago to 100 tonight. And that means over 1,100 people traveled from all over the state to get more of the team they just can't get enough of.
One of the things that's really special about this event is that it's taking place in Great Falls, but we have boosters here, Bobcat fans from all across the state. I've seen people here tonight from Kalispell and from Billings and all other points in between, and so it's really a statewide event tonight hosted by the city of Great Falls. It's really exciting.
It's a great experience. The guys here are great. They're great people, and they welcome us extremely nice, and everyone's nice, and it's like a second home.
And the man many of them are here to see, NFL Hall of Famer Dan Fouts.
But here I am, and here you are, celebrating another successful football season, champs of the Big Sky Conference, and working like mad to have another one coming up. I don't want to preach to you, but I do want to talk about being positive in our lives as coaches, as teachers, parents, bosses, and just as human beings in how we treat our fellow human beings.
Have your quarterbacks had a chance to sit down with Dan yet?
Denarius hasn't had a chance to talk to him yet, but we'll make sure that happens tonight at some point. Dan's advice to Grayson Galloway was, at practice, he said, always throw with the wind. He said, nobody's going to know the difference except the quarterback. Just it makes you look better, so throw with the wind.
Festivities on Saturday get underway at 10 o'clock with the kids camp, followed by kickoff at Memorial Stadium at 3 o'clock. In Great Falls, Lindsay Theory, the Montana Sports Network.
Welcome back. Many students take summer trips, sometimes abroad during their summer vacations, but one senior at CMR is sharing his school trip with his peers and the community through the student newspaper.
It's an emotional journey through one of mankind's darkest hours. As he toured a German concentration camp, News Channel 5's Andrea Fisher introduces us to this extraordinary man.
Standing in a dark room, paint peeling off the wall, a low ceiling overhead, my soul was as heavy as it has ever been. I was standing in a room responsible for the deaths of more than 10,000 innocent lives. I was standing in the middle of the gas chamber at the Mauthausen-Gusen concentration camp 12 miles east of Linz, Austria, on the Austrian-German border.
Tim Seary is president of the CMR senior class, editor-in-chief of the school's student newspaper, and a fourth-year German student. He planned to take a trip to Germany with the school group his freshman year, and last June, he finally made that trip.
I may have been standing in the very spot where 70 years ago, an 18-year-old boy, very much like myself, could have become a victim of one of the world's darkest hours of history. We can read about it as much as we want, and we can, watch the documentaries, but you don't really get a sense of it until you're stepping off into the area where people just 70 years ago would have been stepping off of the trains as inmates in this concentration camp, and they had the knowledge that they may never leave and they may never walk through those doors again.
Seary says the camp's surroundings are astonishing, a necessary reminder of what happened to Germany just 2 generations ago and the progress made since.
Here is this institution that has hurt so many people and devastated humanity, but yet it's sitting on the base of the Alps and in these fertile green pastures, and you think that that personifies Germany's history as having a scar, a couple years of hatred and a bad history surrounded by all of the great things that have happened in Germany.
But the journey to that inspiration was a heavy one for Seary.
You haven't really comprehended what you're about to see, but you see the label, for example, to going to the execution area, and those signs weren't around when the people were entering, but you just think what that would have been like had they known what was going to come when they entered that room or they went down those stairs. This is a 3-tiered oven, and it just stands as one of the many devices that they use to inflict their hatred and the horrors that were brought upon these people. People will leave notes because family members travel through, and when we were there were family members going through the camp. Those who are living are communicating with history and trying to understand and to grapple with the weight of what happened in that room.
It's an experience he says should be preserved for years to come.
Every generation needs to be able to have the opportunity to learn about it and to experience it, and that's the only way that will make sure it never happens again. You have an appreciation after you leave for so many more things, and realizing that everything is not as bad as it may seem, that in comparison, the fact that you were able to make it a choice to leave is all that really matters in the end.
Reporting in Great Falls, Andrea Fisher, News Channel 5.
And now, The Frenzy on KFBB News Channel 5.
All those other games tomorrow as well. For Jason and Brett, have a good weekend, everybody.
And that's why every Friday we give you The Frenzy. Count on Jason Nitschke and the rest of the Montana Sports Network to bring you expanded sports coverage every Friday. The games from the big towns and surrounding areas. Complete coverage of the Frontier, Big Sky, and high school matchups. From the turf to the net. Nobody covers sports quite like us. News Channel 5's The Frenzy. Every Friday night.
That's how we roll at The Frenzy. Patrick Duffy there, a Montana boy from Townsend, one of the stars of the TV series Dallas. Good evening and thanks for joining us for our first Frenzy. Jason Nitschke here, Lindsay Theory there.
Well, we've turned over our entire staff except for the old guy. So tonight you'll get the chance to see our entire team, and what a night to do it, opening night of the high school football season.
And talk about a marquee matchup, defending state champ CMR, the consensus preseason #1 in Helena High, the team the AA coaches voted #2.
From the station that's committed to complete Montana sports coverage, Sports Central starts now.
That the scene Saturday night at UGF as the Argos beat Westminster for the first time in, get this, 28 tries. It took double overtime to get there and then a miraculous three-point shot at the buzzer. Now the Argos are celebrating their victory with the likes of ESPN. Just about an hour ago at UGF, coaches came running out to congratulate senior Mark Salea and his half-court buzzer beater for making its debut on SportsCenter. The Argos were down 2 points with 3 seconds left. The Griffins botched their final 2 free throws, and the rest, as they say, is history.
After we missed the first one, I was going through my head, exactly what I was going to do. And it was funny because earlier in shoot-around, we were having half-court shooting contests, and I made a couple of them. So I was just thinking, I'll get it, go to the same spot that I was shooting from, and I'll put it up, and I might have a chance.
What went through your head, if anything?
It was all in slow motion. When I let it go, it felt good, and then I saw it go through the hoop, and I turned around, the crowd just started rushing in, and it just happened. It was in slow motion. It was overwhelming.
Is that a childhood dream to be on ESPN?
It is. I have to say it is. I can't imagine what anyone else could want more as far as sports being on ESPN. That's pretty big.
Maybe a new practice regimen is going to be practice half-court shots?
Yeah, there we go. That's all we're going to do from now on is practice those. maybe we'll add that in once in a while. So.
Mark's still speechless. Frontier Conference Tournament is this week. On Wednesday, Conference Champ Carroll will host Montana Tech. MSU Northern will try to remain undefeated at home, hosting Rocky Mountain. UGF will be in Dillon. On the ladies' side, the Lady Argos are the 8th seed and are off to Salt Lake. Carroll also on the road in Billings. Well, it's hard to believe playoff time is already here for the AA basketball teams, which means our final Montana Sports Network polls of the season. Both the Bozeman boys and girls dominating the 1 spot throughout the year, combining to fall out of it only 3 times. And in the final week, some things just don't change. Eastern Conference champ Bozeman still on top. West is bumped to #3 with Glacier's 11-game win streak. The Rustlers climb back in, and the Bison fall out after dropping 2 this weekend. The Lady Hawks still on top on the girls' side. Capital climbs 2 spots to #2, and the Lady Wrestlers remain in that 5th spot heading into playoff week.
Big Sky in the house, guys. Mike Person of Montana State.
Glendive native Mike Person wraps up drills at the 2011 NFL Scouting Combine tomorrow with what appears to be a good showing. The 6'4", 300-pounder recorded the 7th fastest 40 time among the offensive linemen there. The former Bobcat ran it in 5.19 seconds, but scouts say he has to get stronger, and based on his wingspan will likely have to move from tackle to guard. The NFL draft starts April 28th. And that will do it for sports right now. We'll be back after this.